Between 1937 and 1938, around 1.5 million people were arrested in the Soviet Union. Of these, more than 680,000 were executed by their own government. No trial. No defense. They simply vanished. What led a country to turn its own citizens into enemies of the state? The true face of the Soviet Union goes far beyond propaganda and nostalgic fantasies. Prepare yourself to confront the darkest side of modern history. When the Russian Revolution triumphed in 1917, it promised to build an equal society, free from exploitation and grounded in social justice. Millions around the world believed in this promise. But the reality that followed over the next decades was one of fear, repression, and death. The Red Utopia quickly transformed into a totalitarian nightmare. Under Joseph Stalin's rule, the Soviet government became a machine of absolute control. Then came the purges, an unrelenting hunt for enemies of the people. What did that mean? Anyone. Intellectuals, peasants, military officers, and even members of the Communist Party itself. The Great Purge, from 1936 to 1938, became one of the deadliest episodes in Soviet history. Millions were arrested, tortured, and executed. One single accusation, sometimes driven by personal revenge, was enough to seal your fate. Meanwhile, the countryside suffered from the insane policies of forced collectivization. This gave rise to the Holodomor, the famine that killed millions of Ukrainians. Entire families died of starvation while the government seized crops to export abroad. At the same time, the repressive apparatus, led by the feared NKVD, spied on everyone. People were afraid to speak even inside their own homes. Silence became a form of survival. And then, what many feared but few knew became undeniable, the gulags. Forced labor camps scattered across the Soviet territory, from Siberia to the Arctic, where political prisoners, workers accused of sabotage, and anyone who displeased the regime were sent. It is estimated that more than 18 million people passed through the gulags. Many never returned. In one of these camps, known as Kolyma, temperatures reached -50 degrees Celsius. Prisoners crushed rocks for up to 16 hours a day, with no proper food or clothing for the cold. A simple mistake, or even a delay, could lead to immediate execution. The truth about the gulags began to surface through testimonies and works such as that of Alexander Solzhenitsyn, a former prisoner and author of the Gulag Archipelago. His book shook the Western world and exposed the true extent of Soviet brutality. The revelations shocked the globe. The image of the Soviet Union as a progressive nation crumbled. Countries that once admired the communist model began to question its horrific human cost. Inside the USSR, citizens lived between propaganda and terror. Many knew of the horrors, but were powerless to act, or even comment. Paranoia ruled daily life. Even after Stalin's death in 1953, the trauma of his regime persisted for generations. The purges, the gulags, and the engineered famines left deep scars. The system, even de-Stalinized, remained authoritarian and suffocating. The dark legacy of the Soviet Union still echoes. Even today, some attempt to minimize, or even deny, the atrocities committed. But history cannot be ignored.